Multiplication and division. Solving simple inequalities involving multiplication and division is much like solving one-step equations involving addition and subtraction. However, there is a difference in solving inequalities with multiplication and division that involves the negative sign. First, let's just solve inequalities where only multiplication and division using positive numbers are used. Then we'll move on to using negative numbers. The process to solve and graph an inequality, for example, 5x is less than 30, is now demonstrated. Since x is multiplied by 5 and division is the inverse of multiplication, divide both sides by 5 to undo the multiplication. That gives us x is greater than 6. Use the same methodology shown in the previous topic to graph the inequality. So x is greater than 6, we draw an open circle on 6, the ray to the right towards positive infinity. The process to solve and graph an inequality, for example, x over 2 is less than or equal to 2, is now demonstrated. Since x is divided by 2 and multiplication is the inverse of division, multiply both sides by 2 to undo the division. That gives us x is less than or equal to 4. Then we use the same methodology shown in the previous topic. Draw a closed circle at 4 with a ray towards negative infinity. Solve and graph the inequality 3x is greater than negative 27 for x and graph it on a number line. Since x is multiplied by 3, divide both sides by 3 to isolate the variable. X is greater than negative 9, so we draw an open circle at negative 9 with a ray towards positive infinity. Solve and graph the inequality 2/3 r is less than 6 for r and graph it on a number line. Since r is being multiplied by 2/3, let's multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2/3, which is 3/2. When we do that, we get r is less than 9. Therefore, we draw an open circle on 9 with a ray to the left towards negative infinity. Solve and graph the inequality 4y is not equal to 8 for y and graph it on a number line. Since y is multiplied by 4, divide both sides by 4 and we get y is not equal to 2, which is an open circle at 2 with rays going in both directions, to positive and to negative infinity. Solve and graph the equation 6x equals negative 12 for x and graph it on a number line. Since x is multiplied by 6, divide both sides by 6 and we get x equals negative 2. This is an equality, not an inequality, so it's just going to be a closed circle at negative 2.